Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for Chronicles in Critiquing, where we're going to take a look at the first episode of Kyoukai Senki, which is the new mech show from Sunrise for the fall 2021 anime season. The first episode just came out today. I believe that is streaming on Funimation. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you want to watch the episode first, please do, and then come back. So the show kind of splinters off from our current reality. It takes place in Japan in 2060, and basically at some point in the past, Japan had sort of suffered a lot of like economic crisis and natural disasters, low birth rate and an aging population, which basically led to lots of bad stuff happening in Japan. So kind of splintering off from sort of maybe a worst case scenario of what is kind of happening in the present day. And then basically a bunch of other countries are like, oh, hey, we'll help you out, Japan. Like, it's cool. And then they did that for a while, and they're like, actually, we should just take over Japan. So there's like 4 like main countries, and they don't say who they are, but we could probably take a guess, right? It's probably gonna be like America, China, the Japanese love to have Britain. The animes love to have Britain in them. Probably Russia, maybe India or something like that. But basically they kind of like carve out Japan, and then they start like fighting over it in this war called the Boundary War. So this takes place, many, many years after the Boundary War. Japan's already split up into these, kind of like colonies almost, and the Japanese citizens are basically like third-class citizens. They have no rights. I guess kind of very funny. They have this like opposite of Miranda rights like we have in the U.S., so it's like you don't have the right to remain silent. Somehow, throughout the course of this Boundary War where they were fighting over Japan, Gundams were invented. I mean, they're not called Gundams. They're AMAIMs, AMAIM. I watch, obviously, the Japanese, so I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce everything, I guess, in English. And kind of the story picks up in 2061, and we follow these, 4 kids. One of them is Shiba. He's kind of like the main character. His either his first name or last name is Amuro without the R, so again, a little heavy-handed in some of their references, but that's fine. And basically these guys are like junk dealers. They find, old parts and stuff from this Great War, I think I mentioned the Boundary War between the 4 countries. And, 3 of the guys, they just, use it to like pimp out their cars and their motorcycles. But Shiba, our main character, he's using it to kind of like secretly rebuild this AMAIM that he found. So he's going to his kind of like secret hiding spot where he keeps all of his parts that he does, and he runs in and he hears like a voice, and apparently it's like just a little box. It's like a control box for the AMAIM that's like claiming to be like an AI. Eventually, the cops try to catch him because they think that he's one of these junk dealers, and he manages to trick them that he's not. But eventually they do find out it's him, and he runs to the hangar where he has built his AMAIM. And at this point, the AI has sort of finished rebuilding the AMAIM that he had not finished yet. And then he kind of busts out and starts fighting the villains. We're not told, I don't think, what block they're from yet, but they're like these mercenary guys, and obviously they're like bad guys. The main leader, he doesn't like his assignment, so he's trying to like make a name for himself. So he's basically trying to frame these guys as terrorists. So they send out a few of their mobile suits, and Shiba kind of fights with his. And that's kind of where we're left off. He, right as the episode ends, he learns about his finishing maneuver, which apparently he's only able to yell out. According to the AI guy who represents himself as this like cute little avatar when they're inside of the AMAIM, and he has to like yell it out. So he does that, and he defeats all the mobile suits, and his friends are like, oh, this is pretty cool. And we're kind of left from there. So let's start off with, kind of the first thing, which is the animation. The animation's nice. It's not like super amazing or anything like that. They didn't like blow all their budget in the first episode. I think very importantly is that the AMAIMs and the other mechs in the show are hand-drawn. They're not like bad CGI or anything like that. Or maybe they're so good CGI I couldn't figure it out. But so that looks really nice. But there are a few shots of him like super zoomed in, and they like detail the heck out of it, and those look really cool, but that's, maybe 10 or 15 seconds, of the show. That's not like the normal animation style. I think the color palette they use is really nice. I would say definitely not something I would expect, from a Sunrise show, maybe something more from like a Shinkai movie or something like that. So that was really nice. I thought the music was good. Just the background music was catchy and it was nice. It's only episode 1, so they may only have like 3 tracks and then it winds up just getting old. But for now, I think it sounds great. The opening is really cool. The ending is cool. So it's definitely got that going for it. And then I think lastly, just like the plot. I think it's a unique plot. I kind of like the idea of a mech show that's kind of more grounded in our current reality than a lot of the other ones, you know, that take place in the future. And I'm certainly not saying that there's never been a mech show that doesn't take place in our reality or even more realistic than the one presented in this show. But it is interesting. I think it's an interesting plot. I am wondering if they're really going to explore the themes of sort of what's plaguing Japan, which I think would be interesting. I kind of get the feeling that they'll probably be focusing more on, you know, some sort of like revolution or, you know, Shiba, you know, creating his own zone or something like that, and more on the battling than the, you know, sort of Japanese stuff. But, you know, I think that's to be expected. You know, all in all, if I had to give this, you know, a 1 out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It's certainly not like a must watch, but it's interesting. It's got a cool little, you know, kind of twist to the plot, like I was just talking about, or a cool little angle to the plot. And I think that the design of the main character, you know, is pretty cool. One other good thing about the show is that it has a very strong anti-snitching message. Shiba's friends get captured by the police. They're like, tell us who the other guy in your group is. And they're like, no, we would never snitch on our friend. Like, that's our boy. So I do really appreciate that. And so I do think that the show at least has a good message as well. Anyway, thanks so much for checking out this review. I believe that the new episodes are going to be going out on Tuesday. The first episode premiered on a Monday, so I'll have those up probably Tuesday night, maybe an hour or two after the episode airs. And this channel normally does unboxings, so every Wednesday we do a figure unboxing. This week we're actually going to be doing a Power Rangers Legacy Ninja Megazord, so please check that out. And thanks so much, and keep collecting.